Hello, class. This is Dan Gallagher, your instructor for the next 4 weeks. This video will walk you through our LIBS 150 classroom, which you're seeing here. Before we get started, I would like to stress a few things that I'd like you to keep in mind. First, be sure to read everything in your classroom. You will not have a textbook in LIBS 150. All of your course content is already loaded into the classroom. It is vital that you read everything. Page of content, every announcement, all of the instructions for your assignments, which we'll walk through in a moment. I honestly cannot stress this enough. Students who struggle in this class often do so because they have not taken the time to read. Secondly, manage your time. As mentioned, this is a 4-week class. Each week has a set group of assignments. Do not work ahead and do not fall behind. For weeks 1 through 3, your assignment will be due at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on the Sunday that marks the end of the week, as you can see on the left side of the classroom here. Week 4 will be slightly different, and the due dates for that week will be announced in the classroom. I will not accept late work without extenuating circumstances, which should be communicated to me prior to the due date. Thirdly, ask questions. I would much rather get questions from you while you are completing the work than after the fact. If you are unsure about anything after you read all of the available information, message me in the classroom or email me. I will respond to all messages within 24 hours at the latest. Finally, check into the classroom frequently. Research has shown that students who are active in the classroom more frequently tend to succeed at higher rates. Do not wait until Sunday evening to attempt to complete your entire week's worth of work. Now, let's dive into the classroom itself. On your landing page, which you see here, you see the class announcements and you see the calendar. I'm going to open up the calendar for a second. The calendar will help you keep track of assignments throughout the course. On the right-hand side here, any place that is highlighted, that is bolded, is a date on which something is due. You'll scroll down here, and as I mentioned, everything is due at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time on that day. So if I look here, I can see everything that is due for that week. We'll jump back here to the announcements page. As you can see, by the time you get into the class, there will be a welcome announcement here, including this video. At the moment, this classroom is still under construction. It is important, though, that you land here and take a moment to read announcements. There will be at least one new announcement per week, typically 2 to 3 announcements, and they will contain important information for you. So it is vital that you stop here and read the announcements so that you understand what you need to do in class. Now, the best way to navigate through your classroom, through your assignments and through your readings is via the Content tab. Content here, and I'm going to go over to Course Content, which opens up everything here. And what I'm looking at now is everything that I have to do in week 1. So there will be commentary on each of these pages. Is text explaining the particular topics. You can navigate through them after you scroll down and read everything by using these arrows. The benefit of navigating that way, you never miss something, because as you're reading, you will get to a point at which the quizzes are right there. So there are 2 quizzes per week in LIBS, and they are related to the reading that you have to do. You'll see the instructions for each quiz here, and then you can preview it. You can take that quiz, and as soon as you're done, next bit of course content. That will apply for every week. At the bottom of each week's content, you'll see a checklist, and it is worthwhile hitting that checklist before you end up thinking that you're done for the week, to make sure that you actually have done everything you need to do. So in week 1, you can already see you have to read the overview and the objectives, read the commentary, which is all that content we just went through, do quiz 1.1 and quiz 1.2, turn in research log project part 1, and complete the introduction discussion. Each of those items is in the content area except for the discussion. To make a point of going over to the discussions tab, and you'll see the introduction here. You'll click on the topic that will explain what you need to do and how you post in that thread. So keep in mind that you have discussions in week 1 for the introduction, in week 2, and in week 4. And you'll need to access those via the discussion tab. We'll go back to content for a moment. There are 2 quizzes in each week, as you saw in week 1, that will hold true in weeks 2, 3, and 4. There are 2 parts to your research log project. You just looked at the first one due at the end of week 1 and the other at the end of week 3. Each of those log projects contains step-by-step instructions. So again, as I said, I can't stress this enough. It is vital that you read all of the instructions, particularly in the research log. So I'm going to open this up right now, and you can see you have instructions. And then in each of these steps, you will have an example and a hint. Do not ignore these. Responses look different than the example provided and do not match up with the information provided in the hint, then it's a good sign that you are on the wrong track. See how each step will be graded right here. And there will be no surprises here, hopefully. So again, take a look at each step, read the instructions completely, read the example, and look at the hint. If you're unclear about something, covered in the content for that week. The 2 parts of the research log project are dependent upon one another. So you have, again, log 1, part 1 due in week 1 and part 2 due in week 3. Do not attempt to do part 2 until you've read carefully the feedback that you get on part 1. And we'll cover that as we go through, as we get into week 2 and I'm grading those log projects. There will also be those 3 graded discussion forums, and LIBS 150 also has a final exam that will be due in week 4. As you might have noticed already, assignments in LIBS have different weights. So let's go and take a look at all of the grading for LIBS. And you can see the max points. The points add up to 100, some portion of 100 points, and each assignment carries a different weight. So each of your quizzes is worth 5 out of those 100 points. Your introduction discussion is worth 2, your week 2 discussion worth 3, your week 4 discussion worth 5. The first part of the log project is going to be worth 10 points. The second part worth 25, which is the single most valuable assignment in the entire class. So it's really important that you get set up for project 2, you take your time, you read the instructions carefully. And then the final exam is worth 15 points. The purpose of LIBS 150 is to help you develop the skills necessary to locate, evaluate, and use research responsibly. These are skills that will serve you well into your future classes and in your careers. Should you choose to have another person complete any of your work for you, or should you choose to try to find answers to these assignments elsewhere, such as from another person or from an online source, you will not only be violating UMUC's policy on academic dishonesty, which will have significant repercussions for you, but you will be doing yourself and your future a tremendous disservice. Have experience conducting research, consider that there might be ways in which you can improve those skills. I'm sure that for many of you, not everything in this course will be brand new, but I want you to please take your time and read through it because there are still ways in which you can improve these skills. Anytime that you try to skirt the policies on academic dishonesty, you are severely impeding your own learning process. My goal in this class is to help you learn. I can only do that if you are dedicated to learning yourself. If you read everything in this class carefully, if you manage your time carefully, and you communicate with me as necessary, I have no doubt that every one of you can be successful in this course. So please feel free to contact me sooner rather than later should you face any difficulties. I look forward to working with you from the start of our class on September 18th through its finish on October 15th. and over the course of those 4 weeks, getting to know you better and helping you to succeed. If you have any questions, please reach out, and I can't wait to meet you all. Have a good day.